home. Everything to me is spirit. Alright, so spirit, consciousness, you know, one mind, you know, the universe, God, all these things to me are the one thing, like spirit, spirit, spirit. Alright? Another thing that we've got to think about too is your belief system will make you believe that they're different. So, and it will take you an effort to hook up with them. So if you see yourself just as being spirit, as being the same, then it's just the same as having a conversation. Right? You'll have these belief systems whether you're aware of them or not. They run in your unconscious mind. This is what limits your connection to spirit. Right? Your conversations that you often have in your mind, the spirit talking to you. Right? So mediums rarely hear spirit as outside themselves, as someone in the room speaking. Right? Some do. Right? But often it's just a conversation in your mind. Now, the way I describe it is that my thinking voice, when I'm thinking, I feel like it's here. Floats around here somewhere. When it's spirit, it's still my thinking voice, but it feels like it's behind me, as if I've got to look behind myself. It's almost as if like you just got to pause to let it catch you up. Alright? But it's still your mind. You have to also know that your mind is not in your body. Your mind is in your energy field. And your energy field is in the collective energy field, or collective consciousness. Alright? So this is why, you know, some people believe that I read their mind when I'm working with them on the healing table. It's exactly the same way as communicating with spirit. Your energy field is communicating to me, and spirit is communicating to me. Alright? Another thing that I think that you should get out of your mind is that often we want big conversations with spirit. I have people come to see me, and they desperately want us to connect with their father. Alright? That desperation actually throws up a barrier, for me in particular, maybe not for other mediums, but when that desperation of wanting to connect with somebody actually prevents the clear interpretation of the message. And then I get all the random, I get the lady who lived next door that had 20 cats and the milkman, and you know, and as they take those, then their dad's there. Alright, so I had an interesting situation with a person that came on table when I said, "Oh, look, your grandfather's here," and it was just recently, and he said to me, "Well, which grandfather?" And then he started crying. I said, "Well, you just answered your question. Who are you thinking about? Why are you crying?" He's communicating with spirit. Right? So I didn't need the voice then, because he knew. He just knew. You have this sense of knowing that spirit's there. Right? And in essence, that's what we're developing, is that sense of knowing. Right? To open up that pathway with spirit. That's what you have to do. Right? So now I've done a lot of circles, and gone to a lot of circles, and talked to a lot of mediums. I've been doing this for 30, 40 years, you know, back in 2000 and all the way through. And, you know, they talk about inviting the spirit close to you, or into your auric field, into your energy field, so you can communicate to them, so you clear your mind and invite them in. But that never made sense to me, because if, like in this room, so if I see a spirit standing over there, does that mean that my auric field is that far? If I can communicate with the spirit standing at that door, then I haven't invited them to my auric field, is how I'm trying to describe it. Right? Or have I? I mean, essentially we're all connected, so my field is that big. Right? And then I started to think, well, that's actually limiting the way that we communicate with spirit. They format the way that we're talking to spirit, that you must do this and you must do that. Right? Now, my guides don't say anything to that, like that to me. I have a Buddhist monk, right? So he's the main one who talks to me, Geju, and he's very calm, and we have very short conversations. Right? We want so much from spirit, but often the conversations are, you know, "I love you, my son. I'm there for you, my son." Those are the conversations that we want from spirit. Right? So, my father was a quietly spoken man. Right? And David picked up my father. He would say, "Oh, I've got a man here, but he's not saying much." No, he's not saying much because it's my father. He's quietly spoken. He doesn't speak. Right? So what's the message? Well, there is no message. It's just your father who is not speaking. The message is that his presence is there to comfort me. Right? And anything that I have going on between my father, let's say we had a fight before he died, let's say we never talked to each other for 20 years, that remains in my energy field. It's not in his energy field anymore. Alright, so this, your dad's got one message, final message to you, he just wants to say that he forgives you and he loves you. He doesn't need to say that to me. I'm hearing that because I need to hear it. It's in my energy field. And when you break down those things, then all of a sudden your communication with spirit becomes very easy, because when you realise that all that stuff's in us, right? Your mum, your dad, whether you got on with them or not, whether they're abusive or alcoholics, or any other problem you might have had, Now that they're in spirit, they're the best mum and the best father you could ever have, because all that restrictive stuff remains here in the collective consciousness of the earth and the earth's energy field. It's in us, we're vibrating at it. I'm vibrating at my father was an alcoholic or my father was abusive, or I don't like my mother. I'm vibrating at, not my mother, not my father. Okay? Right? Now there is a difference because some spirit won't go into light. We'll talk about that later on as well, that they haven't passed in the light. Right? But so we're trying to develop that inner knowing that we're talking to spirit. Okay, so I worked with a girl that went to numerous circles and they kept on shutting her down and shutting her down. You have to do this, you have to do that. She says, I can't do it. She wasn't able to see, she wasn't able to hear, she wasn't able to do anything. And I said to her, well, you know, and every time she came, she used to get an itchy nose or a little tap on her nose. And I said to her, well, that's your thing. That spirit tapping you on the nose. Well, who is that that's tapping on your nose? You know, what do you feel when you're thinking? I said, well, I'm thinking about my grandfather. Oh, that's your grandfather. When you feel scratching your nose, that's your grandfather. All right, now once she accepted that, she realised how she was communicating with spirit. Then she'd get a tingling on her face. All of a sudden, I recognise a little tap on my nose. Now I'm getting a tingling on my face. Now I feel like crying. Why do I feel like crying? All right, so her crying cue was her sign that spirit was there. And then she'd say, well, I can't do it. And this is the thing that gets us undone. If you physically say out loud that you can't do it, your unconscious mind is screaming at you that you can't do it. And it's your unconscious energy field and your unconscious mind that you have to turn off to make these connections with spirit, to make these connections with your guides, to talk to trees, to talk to everything. Right? That's what you have to turn off. Right? So working with spirit is learning about yourself. That's serious things. It really is that simple. Working with spirit is having self-awareness of yourself. All right. And another thing I need to say too is that don't see my experience as being wow. He does that well. He sees that. I'm very confident with how I work with spirit, but I'm also very confident of my own limitations and what I get. I'm not a names and numbers guy. I'm very open and honest about that. But I'm not a names and numbers guy in my life. I've forgotten all your names already, Right? So obviously when I work with spirit, I'm going to forget everybody's names. Some mediums will tell you that names have a higher vibration and it's difficult for them to do it. And you've got to raise your vibration and spirit's got to lower their vibration to be with you. I disagree with that whole process of raising and lowering the vibration. Okay? Because without that knowledge, we all communicated with spirit when we were a child. Without that knowledge, we all do it. Right? Without that knowledge, my mother, who's an alcoholic and a very selfish person, communicates with spirit. So you would say, because she's an alcoholic and a selfish person, her vibration would be low on the arguments that mediums have been teaching us and spiritualists have been teaching us. If vibration isn't low, she's just vibrating and I'm alcoholic. That's just it. That's her stuff. That doesn't limit her connection with spirit or the way she can communicate with spirit. Right? So if you see that, it's an equal playing field. There's no teacher and student here. I just am a nominated spokesperson. Right? I'm just adding value because I have a lifetime of stories or a lifetime of experience to bring to the table and share with you. There's no teacher. Every time I do this, I'm learning something. Every time I have a meditation, I'm learning something. Every time I do a healing, I have another story to share and something happens. Alright? Because the absolute truth of this, and this is the absolute truth, you want to know how I do it? I don't know. No?
We get a refund.
Yeah. I know. It's tough for business. It's tough for business. Alright? But if you take that on board, if you actually take that on board, because while I'm talking with you, we're actually manipulating your energy field. See? So I'm actually changing your energy field and spirits in behind you. I'm very much aware that there's light in behind each one of you. You had a question?
Yeah, I was just going to share where you're talking higher, lower vibration, because I agree with you. I don't believe in higher and lower. However, I just believe in different. It's like if I'm speaking Russian and you're speaking English, our messages aren't going to get to each other until we learn that other language.
That's exactly right. And I would say language is a good thing because when you communicate with language, you learn spirit. Now, the best way to do this is with meditation, guided meditations, but I'm not going to spend all night doing guided meditations. We will do 3 or 4 and we'll do a lot of talk.